Imagine a perfect world where you can build a restaurant, open the doors, and make loads of money. Unfortunately, those days are over. It takes great leadership, hard work, and long hours to operate a successful restaurant. Together, we can make it happen. This is Restauranttopia.
Hey, welcome back to another exciting, episode of Restauranttopia, as Dave normally puts it. We got the usual gang here, Brian Seitz, Dave Ross, and we brought our guest, Anthony Thomas, who's a bartender extraordinaire. I've known Anthony or Tony, as we like to call him. I've known him for about 20 years or so, at least, right? He's been slinging drinks way back since the Kent State days, and we brought him here because, the climate now with the pandemic and the new legislation coming down, we think that to-go drinks and to-go cocktails may be a huge revenue stream for independent restaurants out there. And we want to bring Tony in to get a little of his expertise to how to make this execution a little bit easier.
And I think it has to be. You need to upsell your to-go people a drink, and not just one, two or three.
Two or three.
I mean, it's
love it.
Hey, the holidays are coming.
Yeah, I mean, it's Tuesday. Celebrate it.
That's right.
Absolutely.
So, Tony, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get here?
I got my start in the industry in college, Kent State back in the day. It didn't seem like it was going to be the career choice, but realized that it made sense for me. Spent a little time in Northern California where I really got into wine, started educating myself, and then when I moved back to Ohio, ended up working for the Hyde Park Prime Steakhouse, worked for their group for a very, very long time, doing a lot of their beverage program, training their staff. Really got into more wine, got my SOM certification probably about 7-8 years ago.
Nice.
Then, as the climate kind of changed, craft beer became a thing, so really started studying up on that, got my Cicerone license probably about 5 years ago. And then craft cocktails became the newest thing. So as I started educating myself with that, I actually found myself in New Orleans, working for the Kimpton Hotel Group. Down there, I got to study with a couple of different guys who really educated me and brought me, really elevated my game when it came to cocktails.
Nice.
I found myself in New Orleans once.
Yeah.
I don't know how I got there, but
Can you explain how you educate yourself on wine? That's a pretty good. Sounds like a pretty good hobby.
It's the best homework you could possibly find.
Yeah, I can't imagine it's bad. It's funny because I showed my students the movie Somm the other day. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
And it's about 6 guys going through the master sommelier exam. Holy shit, is it intense? It's like nothing you've ever seen before. But you understand it. Obviously, you get your level 1
That scene
cert.
where they're sitting around the table and they're doing the tasting, and the one girl, dude's girlfriend is cleaning up after him.
Yeah.
And all right, this is from this region, probably between these years, and I would say the temperature was around this time.
Yeah, and the vintner's wife was pregnant with a girl.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable what they do. That's not true though. That was just a joke. I see. Yeah. It's not that intense. It's close though.
She's a Pisces. She likes long walks on the beach.
That's it, man. Romantic dinners for 2 and all that jazz.
Excited to be here, guys. And I mean, with the climate changing so much in the industry right now, things have gotten kind of weird. And in New Orleans, we obviously are a little more lax with our laws anyways. So the one thing we started to see, because we could do to-goes for a long time.
To-goes, you can get a hurricane before you go over the bridge.
Yeah. I mean,
Through a drive-through bar. That's, you're definitely able to buy some booze and drive.
Well, hopefully that's where we're heading.
It's crazy. Daiquiris, drive-thrus, you can pull in, you can buy as many daiquiris as you want, as long as the straw can be in the drink. As long as there's a piece of paper on top of that straw, you're good to go.
Safety mechanism hurt.
Yeah. So, but we actually saw with Corona hitting, one of the things is they had to really cut that back in New Orleans, which was kind of weird. They stopped to go drinks.
Really?
Which everywhere else in the country started emphasizing that. But we saw with our culture down there, it was a way that people were not social distancing because you couldn't go into the bar, but you could buy and still walk, Bourbon Street or walk wherever. And tourists were still flocking and you weren't getting the distance you needed. So we kind of went backwards.
No kidding.
The rest of the country was moving towards relaxing a lot of those laws. We were having to bind down a little bit.
it's interesting.
Yeah, I would have never guessed.
Yeah.
Not in a million years.
They just last weekend raised that so we can actually start selling to-go cocktails again.
So where's your home base today?
So I'm in Ohio right now. I'm actually leaving next week, but I've been working down at a place in Cuyahoga Falls called Craft Social, helping them develop a cocktail program.
Nice.
It was a craft beer place for a while. COVID kind of took them out, so they have a new owner coming in, and we're trying to elevate it a little bit. So if you want to try some New Orleans style craft cocktails, head on down to the Falls, man.
Nice.
Cool.
Trying to put together a nice program. But
That's awesome.
So I'm excited. Let's make some drinks and talk about we're going to do.
That's
Yeah,
it,
no.
man. Camera's
So-
on you.
So one reason that I was so excited that you came in today is because all the restaurateurs out there that I know are, embracing the new normal with COVID and what that looks like, but also the new regulations that are coming out that allows people like in Ohio and other areas of the country that didn't have the opportunity to go alcohol. So it's really new to them. They never did it before. So how do you implement that where it works, it's profitable, and your staff is able to execute on that? So that's some of the things that I wanted to talk about today.
I guess it kind of depends on your restaurant. How big are you? What is your actual to-go business? If you're not putting out massive amounts of number of to-goes to begin with, you should be able to handcraft all this stuff as you go.
Yeah.
Now, if that's not the case and you do have massive numbers, which good for you, that's awesome.
Yeah.
There are ways to get around it. Like you can do some pre-batching where you're going to basically add everything, all of your ingredients together, except for like your citrus or anything that's could go bad. We had talked a little bit off the air about canning. So what
I'm seeing that more and more, actually.
it's awesome.
Yeah.
The one thing that I know one of the issues right now is aluminum is sky high in price. So a lot of these cans, like the prices for them are actually through the roof. But as far as like actual product going out, it's the best way I've seen so far.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I have not seen that, and I think that's amazing because if you're able to can it, I know Noble Beast here in Cleveland has the canning machine right there behind the bar, and you can get, instead of a growler, you can get the can. But to do a specialty cocktail, that to me is great. That's cool.
I've seen that at Town Hall as well. They can them right there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a cool concept. The one thing we've seen that's really worked is, you can get like a little 8-ounce can. You add your cocktail to it. One of the problems is, as we were talking about, do you ice it down? Is it going to get watered down? So we were using like kind of like the mini ice balls.
Yeah.
We found they're dense enough, they're cold enough, they stay solidified, they don't like water down your drink as long as you're not traveling 30, 40 minutes, which I can't imagine anybody would be doing with these. But if you have a 10-minute drive, those are still going to be solidified. Your drink's going to be nice and cold. You're getting a relatively fresh cocktail, coming from the actual store or the restaurant, which is fantastic.
It's funny because I never really thought of cocktails in terms of freshness, right? But now this is a whole new dimension and a dynamic you got to worry about as an operator. And what about it? Is there a way to do it like where you can just pour them over ice when you get home? I mean, is there a shortcut like that?
Sure. I mean, you could, depending, like if one of my favorite things I'm seeing now is draft cocktails, where you're basically just like a draft beer, ripping it right off the handle. For these to-go cocktails, that's beautiful because you can just pour it, seal it, send it. You can always, I feel like if you're doing something online, you ask the actual customer, would you like us to throw some ice in this, keep it cool, or are you going to pour it over your ice when you get home?
Right.
Let them kind of dictate that. The one thing that we've been trying to figure out is your garnish. A lot of times with cocktails, you want to garnish like those aromatics, those things. How do you package that to get it to the guest, without putting it in a ramekin, which, kind of looks cheesy.
Well, it's funny you said that because we just did an episode last week on food to goes and how to package food to goes, and garnish was a huge consideration in my world because you don't, like, if you're putting arugula on top of a pizza, you can't put it in a box and take it home because it's going to be wilted and
that's
brown.
not going to travel well. Yeah,
Right, exactly.
I'm assuming you'd have to deconstruct it and kind of leave instructions and give that patron the experience at home. Have you seen that?
I haven't, but I love that idea. I think that's a great point because if you can, you kind of market it, right? You make it cute.
Yeah.
So maybe you send even an instruction card with it. So you can like dress it up a little bit. The building the cocktail at home is actually part of the process.
Yeah.
I love that idea. I haven't seen it done, but I think that's a great.
And I think you could go as far as maybe not live, but you could do a YouTube video with the bartender showing how to make the cocktail or a couple different cocktails.
With a little QR code on the side of the cup or
Exactly.
something.
Yeah, that's great.
And just follow along with them. That's an experience.
I like that. The form factor, I'll say, for lack of a better word, as these laws change, and I don't know what you guys had down in New Orleans versus here, and the law as we sit here today is 2 or 3 drinks, 12 ounces per meal, and so it's in a 12-ounce cup. But I foresee in the future laws being where you get a pint or a half liter or a liter, or some sort of
2
form
feet.
2 feet of drink. the homage to episode 1. So that's something that I think will be cool for a patron to take home, margaritas, where it's not like a margarita mix, but it's, jalapeno margaritas, which, some of our hosts' favorite type of drink. If anyone's wondering.
Just some of them.
Yes, just some of them. Those are the types of things that you can go home, have the experience, bust out the tacos from your favorite Mexican-themed restaurant like Local Cantinas or something like that, and really have the full dine-in experience at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that's the whole point. Like, cocktails are part of the dining experience, and so
sure.
now that potentially you're, well, not potentially, but your restaurant is restricted and will probably be restricted, and going into the winter months here, less patios, less. I mean, so you've got to figure out ways that we've talked about in past episodes. You got to figure out ways to grab those dollars. People are going to be willing to spend them, so why not have the add-ons, and cocktails are part of that.
And I think you also have to be cognitive of you're training up the customer. So this wasn't a thing before. Now it is. When COVID is gone, God willing, hopefully soon, people are now going to be doing this. So when the couple want to have a great experience but don't want to get dressed up, they're going to get the takeout. They're going to get the drinks, and they're going to spend that money. I just think eating at local independents and having the restaurant experience, dine in, dine out, what have you, the drink part of it is a critical part. I think it's going to be key.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. I hope that we are moving in like the direction that we can do a little larger format. Because how cool would it be if you're having a birthday party and you can completely cater it with all the cocktails prepared from somebody that is trained.
Right. That is
That's
cool.
awesome.
That is cool.
And that's the thing now is craft cocktails go. I mean, you guys are becoming more and more like chefs, right?
Right,
So people are appreciating your craft more and more, and they say, "Oh, I got to go there for Tony's margarita,
Yeah.
spicy margarita. You should try them out, though, by the way." And now your persona is being able to be delivered at home, much like a chef's meal or something like that. Whereas before, you couldn't necessarily do that.
Absolutely. It gives us a much wider range of people. It's cool because bartenders have gotten to this point where, especially with craft cocktail bartenders, it's almost like celebrity kind of stuff. A lot of it is not just how good your cocktail is, it's how you look when you're making it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny when I went through.
It's a little bit of a show, right? I mean,
Yeah, it is. It's
No,
definitely
no.
a little bit of show. You're not necessarily doing flair, but like, how are you carrying your bottle? How are you pouring? Like every movement has to be very sharp and quick and precise, and it's a way to show off. I mean, you're not Tom Cruise by any means.
Yeah. I mean, come on. Let's not set the bar that high.
You're not jumping on couches either.
Yeah, that's fair too.
But it is exciting. I think it's really cool. The one thing, the little bit of time I have spent up here at the new place, we've been doing these to-go cocktails. We're getting a lot of positive feedback. People are very excited about it. I love the idea that I can sit at home and I'm being lazy today and I want to order whatever. I can have a Manhattan delivered to my house. I don't have to go spend $70 to buy all the ingredients to make it.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Just cost effective, and that idea is fantastic, and people get to try stuff.
So before you get started, what's the draft system look like for these cocktails? I mean, when I think kegs and I think all this installation in a wall, how's it for a restaurant to get a draft system for their cocktails?
So you can use the exact same draft system you would for beer. So basically, the only thing that's really different is the actual keg. So the keg itself, most of them actually have a little mixer at the bottom, so it's just turning the cocktail all the time. So it's not sitting.
It's like a slushy machine.
Same idea,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You can run it through the same lines. The only thing is, obviously, you don't want to put anything fresh in there, any fresh citrus, because you have a very, very small window of time before that's going to go bad. Anything that's super heavy, so we were doing a cocktail that incorporated a little bit of Luxardo's, the actual juice or the syrup, and stuff's so thick.
Sure, it dense,
it was just soaking to the bottom. It wasn't coming. It was clogging up the lines.
Gotcha.
But other than that, anything that's spirit-based,
Yeah.
just throw it in there. It gets it cool. It comes straight through. It's awesome. And any citrus or anything you have, you can add right at the end. It's still saving you 3 or 4 touches.
So this seems like a top of the line solution. It doesn't sound like a very small investment.
No, it's not. I mean, but if you have a draft system at your place already, all you have to do is just take one of those kegs off and turn it into.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
this is a special keg for cocktails, you're saying?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
basically it's got, the ones I've seen are the little tiny kegs, and they literally stir them at the bottom.
Yeah, so we should definitely get the information, put it in the show notes,
Yeah,
put some
no.
links so if people want
That's-
to get on
Yeah,
that.
let's
That's
find.
really cool.
I'll find out the names of them and send you some links.
Now, see, I love this idea, but I'm also thinking about, okay, that's quite the investment for the independent restaurateur, if we're on a wing and a prayer, right? To see
Right.
if this investment works or whatever. What's a secondary option? Could you use an iced tea container or something like that, or a sangria container? Is there...
Sure. I mean, you can send out, we had talked about the canning system. I don't know what the laws are around here. I don't know if it has to be actually closed and sealed.
Gotcha.
I've seen everything, and the laws are constantly changing. So by the time this comes out, it's going to be different. But I've seen everything from just clear plastic solo cups with a lid to cups with the lid and the straw in it, ready to rock and roll. I was like, hey, I'm getting this in my car. Like I'm going to speed. I'm going to get pulled over. Like I prefer not to have 3 straws next to me.
It's just inevitable.
So the one thing that I've seen up here that I thought looked really good and is very simple is, you guys ever been to like those cold pressed juice places?
Yeah.
So you just get like a little plastic bottle.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen the cocktails in the same thing.
I've seen that, yeah.
Just closed up. You've got the label on it. It's got the name of your restaurant. It's got the name of the cocktail.
like
and it's
that.
got the
Well,
ingredients.
conceivably, you just throw a sticker on the top of it, right?
Yeah, it's
Right.
simple.
Yeah.
Right? That's an easy solution. That's cheap. You can get those bottles very,
Love it.
very cheap.
Yeah.
Love it.
And if you can do glass, you can do the glass ones too and recycle them. You can
Yeah.
find ways to actually kind of use it as like a growler.
Yeah.
So if you keep the bottle, you come back to the restaurant, maybe you get 50 cents or $1 off of your next leg to the
Yeah, the other thing I've seen is a little more expensive, but I've seen mason jars.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
no
seen
kidding.
some restaurants
That's
see
what I was
mason
gonna
jars
go.
as well, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a little craftier, and I
Yeah.
think if you're a higher end craft cocktail bar, that makes sense because
Sure.
a lot of it is the presentation.
And you can
Sure.
you
You can
pass
build it
that-
into your
you
price,
can, Yeah,
too.
you can
Right.
pass that along.
Yeah,
I mean,
easily.
so let's get into some cocktails here.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
it's about
Let's
time.
see how this works.
All right, so I'm going to make you 3 different cocktails today. Different spectrums of what I would consider craft. One's going to be maybe a little more fruit forward, probably going to be more accessible to a bigger audience. I'm going to do a riff on a dessert cocktail, an espresso martini. I think everybody loves those, but this is an easy way to make it a little craftier.
Okay.
And then we're going to do kind of a booze forward, what I call a big kid drink. It's going to be a riff on a Manhattan, but we're going to use a couple different items and see what you guys think.
Nice.
Right up. Let's
Alright.
do this.
Let's do
All
it.
right, so let's start with, you guys are talking spicy margaritas, so let's do something similar, shall we?
Okay.
All right, so what we're going to do here is, this guy right here is one of my favorite cocktails. So what I brought here is, I made this before I came in. This is a little house-made grenadine with a little bit of hibiscus. So you're going to get the sweetness from the grenadine. You guys want to
Yeah.
a little whiff before
So-
I start making? So basically all it really is you're taking a pomegranate juice, you're really cooking it down, trying to thicken it up a little bit. After you get it to where you want it, you add a little bit of hibiscus. The great thing is the hibiscus gives it that really vibrant color, as well as just a little bit of floral. You don't want it to be overpowering.
Yeah.
So we're gonna throw an ounce of this bad boy in here.
So as far as ingredients that you're making yourself, for the regular restaurateur, where can you cut corners? Where would you say, hey, do this? Because this is like a game changer. This is like a pro tip, as we like to say.
That's the thing, is a lot of this stuff, if you make it in-house, is not that expensive.
Or hard.
Yeah. That's the
Okay.
thing, is a lot of times people think that when I'm coming in with some of this stuff, like, oh my gosh, this is so complicated. It's like,
Yeah.
it's not really that complicated. The hardest part is just knowing your proportions. Once you figure out what your proportions are, none of this is difficult. I can make that in 10 minutes.
So it'd take me about 3 hours.
Yeah. You got to
Now-
slow it down a little bit. But yeah, I mean, so a lot of times I think that people get caught up in the idea that if you buy it and it's there,
Yeah.
it's being delivered, it's your easiest move. But using fresh ingredients sometimes, as long as you're smart about it and you know how to order properly, it's usually way cheaper, because when you can buy in bulk, it's going to taste better, and all you're really doing is just adding a couple minutes of work. Like with this, you're paying for the pomegranate juice, and it's just basically sugar and knowing how to prepare it.
But it's also, I mean, when you get the stuff out of the bottle, it's the same everywhere. This is really a game changer, and if you're able to add that flavor profile and make it different, it justifies that additional price point. It justifies that customer saying, "Hey, I want to come back there because that was a great, unique experience."
Yeah.
Unique is the word, I think, right?
Yeah.
And so, Tony, with stuff like this, is this kind of like on the chef's world, will this be like a secret chef's recipe, some of this stuff? Or is this thing something you'd share some of these ingredients that we could maybe,
Yeah, I mean, I can.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but
Yeah,
I mean,
no, no.
is there
Or-
ones that you would be okay, like just maybe giving
or
us
is
a
there
couple things?
or is there a link? Or is there a link where hey, this is where I would go to find just some standard recipes? And then I think our audience and our listeners, they're restaurateurs, like they're chefs, they're trained professionals who, I mean, they're going to make their own version. I mean, I have my own version of, mac and cheese, but like it's like it's I make mine with a little truffle butter.
I love it.
Yeah,
Let me
so
speak
it's
to that, though, because
yeah.
when he says I have hibiscus grenadine, I'm like, oh, shit, how do I make that? Like, and I'm a chef. I'm like, oh, my God. But then he says take pomegranate juice and reduce it with a little hibiscus. I'm like, oh, God, that's nothing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's not difficult. I mean, you can make it to whatever proportions you want. Honestly, with this, I'm using probably about half the amount of sugar as I am
Yeah.
with the actual juice.
Mm-hmm.
Cooking it down. Once I get it to the thickness I like, I'm just adding hibiscus, or I'm coiling it. Then I'm adding hibiscus, letting it sit overnight just to kind of get some of that flavor, and then just literally sifting out this hibiscus.
That's
Right.
So, I mean, none of these recipes are super, super complicated.
Mm-hmm.
I will gladly give you proportions for any of these that you want
Okay.
to know, but none of them are that hard, and you can tweak them, make them sweeter, make them less sweet, do
Yeah.
whatever, you're looking for. But with this guy, we are going to add one of my favorite liqueurs, Ancho Reyes, a little bit of spice.
So I just found out about this stuff today. The guy was actually, it's funny, Brian, because you mentioned spicy margaritas earlier. The
Yeah.
rep that was helping me out at the store was like, have you ever had these in a margarita? And I said, I've never had it, period, but sounds lovely.
Yeah.
So what is Ancho Reyes?
So Ancho Reyes is basically, it's a spirit that takes a little bit of like cocoa, a little bit of the
Ancho chilies?
Yeah,
Yeah.
chilies. So you have a little bit of spice. It's got a little bit of cinnamon. It's absolutely fantastic. It's a grain based. It's not super, super high octane.
Okay.
So I guess it's higher than I actually thought. It's almost 80%.
There you go.
80 proof or 80%?
80 proof.
Oh, okay. I was going to say,
Watch out, guys. Somebody's driving.
Keep
me
listening. This is going to get interesting.
and listen, Tone, like when you gave me the list to get the stuff, and I was like, oh my God, what are we going to do with this? But I found this stuff at the local grocery store. It wasn't hard to find at all. It was right on the shelf right when you walk in. It was
Most
astonishingly
places,
easy.
if you're going to a decent sized liquor agency, especially in this area, a lot of them carry stuff that you wouldn't think you would find at like your your neighborhood like liquor store.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of fun stuff, and I think sometimes it's just being educated and knowing what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I hadn't worked in the industry, I would probably have never even looked at this bottle,
Yeah.
right? Because it's going to be sitting with your cordials. You're walking by it, and a lot of times people are like, "Am I going to spend $40 on something that I've never heard of?" And like, you're obviously not going to drink this straight.
Yeah.
So
Right.
this is definitely a cocktail lovers.
They're
booze.
typically not out there with tasters. Like, here, try it.
Yeah, exactly. So
The Sunday samples.
Like little samples.
Yeah.
so I think one thing about that I've really noticed with craft cocktailing becoming such a big thing is people are becoming educated on stuff. Like I see, young kids drinking chartreuse, and I'm like, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
you know what? We saw that in the chef world too. You
Yeah.
know, as things start to become mainstream, everybody gets comforted in it. And it's nice though, because then you can flex your muscles a little bit more.
right,
Well,
and
it-
people are getting a little more adventurous
Yeah.
with their palates. Yeah,
Octopus, truffles,
Yeah.
like all the things, different types of caviar, and like all the different things that are out there that people need to experience.
Yeah.
Ceviche and all these types of things that I love, that I think the standard everyday customer wants those things now. And I think that's great, because I think
No, people's palates are developing. Yeah.
Yeah.
but also they're shifting away from Applebee's. They're shifting away from the disgusting national chains that I would never go to. So those sorts of things that.
How do you feel about national chains?
No, I'm just saying, like, if, you cooked my meal in a bag and then poured it out of the microwave. That's fine.
We have
Because
9 microwaves on the line at those restaurants, just so you know. And my buddy started working when we were kids. He goes, they have 9 microwaves. I'll never forget that. 9. Nothing's cooked. Just everything in a mic, barbecue
Yeah.
sauce, and call it a day.
no one went to CIA at that place.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I talked over you. What
you're fine. I can-
what
this
were
is-
what were you putting in the drink?
It's easy
Is that
to
important?
explain. I'll let while you guys chit chat. This is great. So I put a little bit of the ancho reyes, about a half ounce of this bad boy. Put an ounce of the hibiscus grenadine, 3/4 of an ounce of fresh lime juice, and like playing to what you're saying is, I think a lot of times when you're younger or even like smaller like areas of the country, you're not exposed to really well cooked food. You're exposed to these chains, right?
Yeah.
And I think now with like Food Channel and all these people like seeing this stuff, all of a sudden people are trying things.
Yeah.
And once you've had a good meal, and all of a sudden you understand the difference between fresh ingredients
Oh,
and
yeah.
microwave chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of a sudden people are making that move. I'm even seeing it, like my family still lives in a small town, and like my mom is calling me talking about like, truffle butter.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
That's awesome.
Yeah, and like the closest, anything they have to a restaurant where she's from is a Longhorn.
Yeah.
That's fancy eating.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing against
Put on your
Longhorn.
Sunday's best, kids.
That's it. So then we're going to do 1 3/4 ounces of a Blanco tequila. We got a little Patron Silva here.
Now, Patron Silver is kind of a staple at most bars, right? It's a little bit higher end of a Blanco. What's your favorite?
So it depends on what I'm looking for. Like when I'm mixing cocktails just from a cost, like efficiency kind of way, I really like Espolón. It's wholesale. You're usually only looking around like $16.
$16.
Yeah.
Oh, Patron Silver is not $16.
I mean, at all. So nothing against Patron, but if you're trying to make a cocktail, make it cost effective, there are, things out there that are, more like better for your wallet for sure.
But that's, as the restaurateur, as the bar staff, there's amazing alcohols out there that don't have the marketing budget that Patron does. So they're going to cost less, but have equal or higher quality, in my opinion. So I think that's one thing that you need to really be a student of the game and research what are the things out there, and talk to your rep. And
Absolutely.
what are the things out there that he's selling that you can go toe to toe, and here's three different tequilas, which one's better? And I guarantee it's probably not going to be Patron for the price.
Yeah.
Oh, of course not. And the one thing that you're really starting to see pop up a lot around the country is distilleries, like small, local, being very specialized.
Small batch distilleries, they're amazing. Like gin, and gin is coming into its own now.
Thank goodness.
I don't know
Yeah,
what to call it.
most of the time. So everything.
Essences, right? Yeah.
What Americans are probably used to the most is the London Dry, which
Yeah.
is your Tanqueray, your Beefeaters.
Yeah.
So it's got a lot of juniper, a lot of coriander. But most gins tend to be a little more floral or citrus forward.
No kidding.
So I mean, so my favorite kind of gin is Old Tom gin. Look up Hannum's, unbelievable.
Hendrix?
I love Hendrix. So Hendrix is a cucumber distilled.
Yeah,
So it's a
so
lot
good.
lighter. You don't have that real heavy pine flavor, if you will. And I mean, that has its place. I like that also. But I'm a citrus guy, so I like those citrus notes, and they're a lot easier to blend, especially when you're making cocktails. So, so let's shake this guy and see if it turned out all right. I also, while we were talking, I added a little Angostura bitter. I mean, everybody I'm sure is pretty familiar with Angostura.
That's like the bitters, right?
That's it, man. There is no other.
So, again, pro move. What kind of bitters is it?
Angostura?
Okay. Yeah, that's it.
I think we just call it bitters, right? Like I don't even think we call it Angostura.
Yeah, it is the bitter, right?
It's got a yellow cap, a little brown bottle, and a paper wrapper. And we just call it bitters.
Been around since I want to say the late 1800s. Nobody knows the actual recipe except for 4 people.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Like
Nice.
they can't even be in the same room together. Like it's one of those things. So they've been around for so long. They make 3 kinds of bitters. They make the Angostura, which is what you have in most of your Manhattans, old fashions, what people are used to. They make an orange bitter, and they literally just this year came out with a cocoa bitter.
Nice.
So
That
I mean,
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of ice, so I'm just gonna let you guys look at that color.
Nice.
Yeah, that is as pink as it gets.
Yeah, and typically what I would do with this guy, as I was garnishing, is I would add, I'd have it a little fuller with ice, but we're running low on the ice over here, and then I would just give it a little wine wheel,
All right.
just to be gentle. You guys have some straws if you guys want to give it a try. So it's not going to be over the top spicy. It's going to have a little bit of tartness. Hopefully it's well balanced. If it's not, you let me know. Whoa, buddy.
Yeah, a little. I'm gonna go full bartender. Yeah,
That's it, buddy.
yeah. This is. Oh wow.
Yeah, I didn't expect that.
No, that's really
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah. And the spice, it doesn't insist on itself. It goes away quickly.
Wow.
That is really good.
People think the stronger the drink, the better the drink. That's not necessarily the case.
Give me a gin and tonic. I'm allergic to tonic.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
A buddy of mine used to. He was like, I'm allergic to ice and tonic. So
Yeah.
give me.
Well, and also, unless you're 450 pounds, 3 drinks are going to probably knock you on your ass if you're a weekend warrior. So,
Yeah.
let's just pace ourselves and let's have fun. You don't need to get wasted. That's why I think the craft cocktail,
If one is good, isn't 10 great?
it seems logical. Is so cool because I think people are spending more time with the drink, experiencing the drink, experiencing the craft versus 2 liter of Miller Lite. Oh, delicious, great, fantastic. Now people are enjoying craft beers, enjoying craft drinks and good wines, and I think that's cool.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I don't know, man. A 2-liter of Miller Lite sounds pretty rad to me. I'm into that.
So what do we think? Is this balanced?
Yeah, no,
Something
it's great.
You good?
One of the-
So let's do. I'm gonna do the espresso last, just because it's a little sweeter. That's more of a dessert. So this is a cocktail. We're gonna do something a little more booze forward. The nice thing about this is we were talking about the draft systems. This is something that would work in your draft system because it doesn't have any you're not using juices, anything like that. It's all booze, so it can
and
sit.
it's all stable as hell.
Yeah,
Right.
it can sit. You don't have to worry about how quick you're selling it. Now, I do know places that will use citrus in their draft cocktails. You just have to know it's going to move. Like if you know you're already turning and burning this drink, that's fine.
Right.
You do have to worry about a little buildup with the actual citrus and some pulp getting in there. You probably want to strain the pulp out before you put it in there. That way you're not clogging up your system.
Yeah, sure.
What do you, when you say move, how many days is that? What are we talking?
So, I mean, if you're using fresh juice and you're building, you've only got really a couple days before, not that it necessarily goes bad, but you're going to start to lose the flavor.
Okay.
So usually I'd say if you're juicing on a Thursday, by the end of the weekend, that better be gone.
Okay. To me, that's pretty long shelf life. That's
yeah, I
pretty
mean,
good.
you've got two to 3 days, depending on, like I said, how fresh the fruit is, when they squeeze it, what time of day they actually build the cocktail.
Online ordering system needs to upsell. Your staff on the phone needs to upsell. I mean, like when it's Saturday and you haven't moved enough units, like you can look at your point of sale system and get that stuff moving.
Yeah. You run your specials, or like you said, verbalizing everything, having your staff really knowledgeable.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that we've really seen at this new place was a lot of the staff they brought in, they'd bartended before, but they weren't as familiar with the craft idea.
Mm-hmm.
After about a month of them like really feeling what was going on, all of a sudden I start seeing things flying off the shelves.
Yeah.
They're verbalizing, they're excited about it. And then you see that moving into, your to-go orders, because these people now that have come in once are ordering to go and it's moving.
Well, that's no surprise, right? Like we aim to please as hospitality professionals.
Yeah.
And when we serve something and we see a couple people get excited about it, we want to give that to everybody because we want everybody to be that happy, everybody to be that excited.
Right.
It's infectious.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. We had that conversation, like nothing feels better than that busy night when you're running the floor, the expo line, and everything just like smooth sailing. It's also the worst feeling in the world when you bomb.
The other side of the coin is terrible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's highs and lows, peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
But it's also, I actually wanted to ask you this because we were trying to figure out our best way to do this. With to-go orders and like DoorDash and all these like other companies coming in, once COVID does kind of go away, is this going to crash your kitchens? How are you finding ways to like balance? Because we've even found, as we're talking about this, building these cocktails, you want to do it as fresh as possible, and you don't want to batch and just have a bunch of it sitting there. So trying to figure out your numbers, like what are we actually selling? How much should we be putting together every night? Because our first couple of times doing this, we were watching our bartenders get flooded and like fail. But then like the next weekend, we batched a bunch of stuff and it didn't sell. We sold something completely different.
Yeah.
So
And that's a new property too, though.
Yeah.
So, when you're a little more ingrained in a business and you have more data to rely on, you can forecast a little bit better.
Yeah.
Your trends are a little more clear and more trustworthy.
I think it's difficult with COVID though. I mean,
well, sure.
And again, not that you want to use that as an excuse, but things are going to be up in the air, and you're going to have seasons just like regular seasons. But when you get into the fall, like then you're going to start seeing like this is the next 6-week trend is going to probably be this. But I think it could flip on a dime too.
Yeah, and I think it's like anything. You have to build some history and data behind it, but you also like how many offerings you're going to have. You have to market what you've got and maybe keep it limited so that that these things are going to move because that's what you're offering. If it's a much wider offering, then you've got a lot more options for people to hit you that you weren't expecting, or vice versa. Not, you're prepared and they don't order.
Yeah.
Streamlining, man.
Yeah,
Shrink the menus.
But if you are prepared and you had this 5 gallons of batch cocktails that you need to move, go to social media, push it out there, like use it as a customer acquisition tool now. All right, you get a half price drink, or buy one get 2 free, whatever it is out there that you need to do. But start acquiring new customers. Use it as an upsell. Use it as a thank you gift. Hey, I see you ordered takeout tonight. Have an amazing Tuesday. Here's 2 free drinks.
Yeah.
Can you do that though? Oh.
In Ohio, you can't.
Yeah.
In Ohio, you cannot give away any booze. Technically, legally, you can't give away booze.
No, then charge them for the drinks and give away the food.
There you go.
There you go. That's it, man.
I mean,
There's always ways
spoken
around
like
it.
a true lawyer, but again, follow the law.
I love the idea of streamlining. I think like talking to restaurateurs out there, sometimes people get really nervous when you say smaller menu, less options.
Yeah.
They feel like they're alienating customers.
Yeah,
But
they're
we've
not.
had this conversation. Like you can dictate your identity. What do you want to sell? Put your best foot forward. And sometimes having a smaller menu, especially in this situation, have a smaller menu. Make sure everything that's going out is perfect every single
Listen, man,
time.
it starts with the ordering process, then in the prep process, then in the service process, and then in the customer turning tables process and the menu anxiety process. All of that's mitigated. I'm a huge fan of smaller menus.
Yeah,
Huge fan.
absolutely.
Simplify quantity, complicate quality.
That's
Love
it.
it. That's perfect.
That's the
You-
best
where
way
do
to
you
put
get
it.
these from?
That sounds like a good one. You
just
practiced
like-
that in the mirror this morning. That was really good.
Yeah,
He's
I
like
feel like we
Confucius
should've got
over
it
here.
afterwards.
I think our listeners totally agree with that. At least
Yeah.
we've been pounding that into everyone's head so much lately. Just simplify your menu and know what travels well. You know,
Yeah.
if it doesn't travel well, take it off the to-go menu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny, to our point, too, I ordered DoorDash for the first time. Third-party delivery the first time for me.
Okay.
How dare you.
And I was looking at the operator's menu online, and I was like, okay, cool. And I was just, gauging my budget for lunch. And
Yeah.
then I go to DoorDash, and I access the operator's menu through DoorDash, and
Yeah.
it's like 30%, exactly 30% higher.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're brilliant.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, good for them. Yeah.
No, yeah. Like,
Well-
get in your car, drive there and pick it up, and let that guy make some money.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, they charged appropriate. I was in the hospital, so I couldn't leave,
Oh,
right?
dude.
So I was with my daughter doing something or whatever,
Okay.
and it's all good. But
Good.
I was happy to pay it. I was like,
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what?
yeah.
I was proud of them for doing it, quite honestly.
No, of
And
course,
I
you have to.
also, I had a 50% off code, so that helped.
So there's another thing that like I found. Have your own website where you can order. You don't have to call in. You can order online,
Yeah.
and even look into having your own delivery driver.
Yeah.
Is it worth it?
Yep.
I mean, because like you're paying such a huge amount to these like third-party services. Get a high school kid and let him do the pizza delivery thing, but with your food and your cocktails.
Yeah.
Great. And it's not like it's the Rosetta Stone and you got to crack the code here, folks.
Well, that's how everybody feels about
I
it.
know, but pizza has done it.
Call
Yeah.
your
Pizza
insurance
has
company.
done it for
Call your
years.
insurance company and see what it takes.
And
Yeah.
great pro tip there. Call your insurance company. Don't just let this kid go drive around there with 68 drinks unopened his car. Like,
Kid out there giving away free drinks.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be some legality to that. Like, if you can't serve alcohol until you're 19,
Yeah,
in
can
the
you
state of
drive?
Ohio,
Yeah.
can you
Yeah.
drive with it?
Yeah.
But I mean, that's all stuff you can figure out. And I feel
Thing though, it's kind of just unfolding as time goes on. So who
Yeah.
knows right now? I'm sure
Right.
there's some forgiveness going on, but yeah, it's,
But you're going to pivot. You're going to pivot, and I love that tip, Tony. As far as look into getting a delivery driver, and maybe you don't take all the delivery orders. You do what you can handle. You kick the ones to third party that you need to, and ask people to come pick stuff up. I mean, people are really willing to do it. If you have the service, it's a nice add-on, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure.
well, and as we were talking about, if you do have those batch cocktails, for limited time, if you come pick up, this is your, thank you for driving to us.
Yeah.
Here's your-
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Not for
So-
a drink, but here's your dollar cocktail or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
In batching cocktails, is it as easy as just scaling a recipe up and leaving the fresh stuff out?
That's it, man.
That's it.
That's it. It's
So
none-
if we have a recipe online for one espresso martini that you're about to make, we could easily just scale it up times 100, and you
Yep.
can make 5 gallons of it.
That's
Because listen, I mean, almost everybody's got an espresso martini,
right.
and I'm excited that you're going to show us one because it's
Yeah,
a little more,
Let's see it.
a little more higher quality.
Let's see.
But this is something that's easily digestible for most clientele.
Yeah, that's the thing is none of this is, like you said, we're not reinventing the wheel. None of this is rocket science. You're following a recipe. And obviously you're going to taste and maybe you have to, tweak here and there. But for the most part, it's just doing simple math. Is all it really is.
That tasting part sounds like a big problem again.
Yeah.
I don't know how we're going to get over that one.
So do you guys want to do the
Let's do it.
espresso first? Or do you
Yep.
want to do this this riff on this Manhattan? This is going to be a little more of a big kid drink.
Whatever order you think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever you think's best.
We'll do this guy first. This
Okay.
is, so what we're going to do is I brought a little bit of white port here. So instead of using like a sweet vermouth, we're going to use this white port.
Okay.
Now, could you use a sweet vermouth if they had difficulties finding a white port or no?
Sure. I mean, this is just my variation of one. So
Sure.
you can do anything like an old fashioned Manhattan. First of all, they're heavy hitters. Everybody's familiar with them. Most people like them.
Yeah.
Easy to make. They're 2-3 steps and easy to batch.
Okay.
Unless you're muddling the fruit, but a real old fashioned, a classic old fashioned doesn't have that fruit cocktail in there. You're just using a little bit of essence of the orange. You can get orange or cherry bitters now to throw in that flavor if you need to.
Yeah, sure.
There's ways to get around it without having to do the whole muddle process. But this is just my riff on it. This is something a little different. I call this the Sneaky Pete. So,
It's a great name.
so we're gonna do
It's HBO classic too.
right. So just a little half ounce of this white port. All right. Typically, so this is where we're gonna get kind of fun and crafty. So before you really get started, you can take a half a little lemon here. That's why I have your shot glasses. We're not actually taking shots.
That's too bad.
And we can if you want, guys. We got plenty of Ancho Reyes if you want.
So cancel the Uber.
Here, Anthony, help me out. Get
Yeah, man, no problem. Front of the house.
You know I can't do anything heavy lifting.
Front of the
That's it, man. There's always that front, back of house.
There's a rift and it exists.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a lot of sugar. I'm going to put it on top of this lemon.
Okay.
Hey, Anthony, can you explain to me what sugar does when it's...
Well, you're bruleeing it, right? So you're going to caramelize it?
Can you take a couple pictures, Anthony, or it's like how's that working?
Yeah, come on, man.
Like,
Of course I can.
So the other thing about sugar is a lot of times when sugar will just extract the natural oils and flavors from your fruit.
Okay.
It's like,
It cures it.
yeah. So basically what this is going to do is we're not actually going to use any of this lemon. This lemon is basically just being used as a base for us. The sugar is going to kind of extract a little bit of that citrus.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to put a little bit of Angostura on here. This is all just for flavor and color.
What is this move?
Yeah,
This is how you impress at home.
This is a showstopper. This is something you do when you actually have people at your bar and you want to show them that you're cool.
Oh my God, it's gonna take more than this.
No, in the world, no, in the world of bitters, like that's a lot of bitters.
It's a lot of bitters, and I'll tell you why we're doing a lot of bitters.
Okay.
These are not going to be as bitter because it's coming in with the sugar. We're basically going to form a piece of candy. Okay. We're just making like a piece of hard candy. Basically what we're going to do here is we have sugar over top this lemon. We'll have just a little bit more Angostura over here. The Angostura is for flavor and for color, but what we're basically doing is we're going to caramelize this, turn this into a little piece of hard candy.
Very cool.
And you're really, really going to want to get this hot, like bubbling. Going on with your torch here, buddy.
Wow, that is so cool.
It smells amazing too.
I know it
Yeah,
does. It
just
smells
the-
really
the-
good.
That's also part of this reason is just the aromatics of it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that creme brulee?
Oh yeah.
So what you're going to end up seeing happen here is we're going to finish building the cocktail. We're going to let this cool down. It's going to solidify.
Yeah.
When we add this to it, it's typically I was going to try and bring in a big cube for us. We couldn't find I couldn't actually from where I drove keep one frozen in the
Yeah.
cooler. So we'll just put it on regular ice. But what you're going to see is it'll sit perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll add the cocktail over top of it. The cocktail will gradually melt it. So the cocktail you get at the beginning is going to taste a little bit different than what you have at the end.
Wow.
So it's going to gradually change throughout the drinking process.
Yeah, see, that's next level stuff.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
that's the experience that you want, and
Yeah, I
quite
mean,
fr-
it's
in the hospitality world, that's what the customer deserves.
That's a good point.
I mean, let's go back to entertaining people. Let's go back to delighting people.
The
with
tableside
with-
Caesar
yeah,
and the
with our-
Dover Sole and all this stuff.
but with our service and really giving them a way to escape from the normal life and have a great cocktail, have a great experience.
Well, what I'm looking at isn't overly complex either, right? Like this isn't exactly like
No.
your rocket surgery, as I would say.
a lot of this is just knowing technique, and honestly, I've learned a lot of this from watching my chef friends. Being able to kind of look at something and see what you're doing and be like, oh, how can I incorporate that?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And that's honestly,
We call that patterning around here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's not plagiarism.
We love it.
yeah, dude, everybody's riffing off everybody.
Yeah.
Collaboration is everything.
Well, there's
Learning from each
7 billion people in the world. Typically, someone has done this before you, right?
That's right. I mean, I stole this from somebody. I saw somebody do this, and I was like, that's genius.
That's mine now.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Yes.
glean that right away.
No, but then you make it your own. You make it
Yeah.
better. I mean,
And that's one thing I would always say is I know a lot of times, especially in the front of house world, and the chefs can be like this too, is it gets very competitive.
Mm-hmm.
And I just always encourage people, don't be competitive, be collaborative.
yeah.
Don't take offense if somebody's using something you've done. You should be proud of that.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to give credit and be like, Anthony did this and I made it better. He did it great, and I did my own version of
Well,
it.
that works 5 times. Dave taught me. You give the person credit 3 times. You give the person credit 3 times, and
Yeah.
then after the 3rd time, you can take credit for it.
That's right.
Here's how it works.
I like
the
that.
first time I say, my friend Anthony told me this.
Okay.
Then the second time I say, this guy I know.
Okay.
And then the third time it's like I always say.
Ah, nice. I like it. I like that.
No, he spelled this out for me before. This is Confucius. I'm going to start calling you that. You know that, right?
It's-
You're a philosophical master.
I know there's going to be so many gems out of this episode.
So what I kind of did there, I had a little atomizer. I spritzed the glass with a little Lafroig, which is a peatier scotch.
Okay.
Just so you're getting a lot of that peat, you're getting a lot of those aromatics, but your drink itself is not going to be that smoky.
Where do you find the little device? Like,
BillNye.com.
I mean,
Oh, like this guy?
Yeah,
Or-
yeah.
Oh man, you can buy these anywhere.
Okay.
You can buy those at Target, but I mean they're not gonna be as fancy. But
Yeah,
like
yeah.
little atomizers,
Okay.
yeah, you can find those anywhere.
And for all of our listeners, before you try to write that down in the car and go left to center into that road above, it's a spray bottle. It's a little
Yeah.
tiny one.
It's basically a little perfume bottle. So typically, once this kind of solidifies, you shouldn't have too much issue
This is awesome.
pulling it right off. It'll
Oh
say
my
one
God.
big piece.
Oh, this is awesome.
Set it right over your ice like so. If you want to just smell the
Oh,
lemon, dude,
that's
it's
good.
so. The candy itself, I might make you one just so you can try the actual candy.
I
It's
know.
so
I know
good.
what cocktail I'm doing for Christmas this year.
Oh my
Nah.
God, this is great. Look at this. Wow,
Very cool.
that is cool.
And what we'll end up doing here is I'll give it a little lemon zest just to add a little more aromatic to it. One of my favorite tricks, just boop. That's all she wrote, man.
If you don't make that noise, it doesn't work.
I
Right?
know,
You have to go
okay.
boop
Boop.
every time.
All right.
Nice.
So as I said, like you're gonna get some of the smoke. I like to use like a blended scotch with it.
Oh, look at it dissolving in there too. That candy is
I know,
dissolving and
that's cool.
sweetening the drink as we go.
Yeah, so
Oh,
it's
that's
going to
rad.
be a little more potent as your first sip comes in. And this is one of those, like, you're not going to get as much of the feel from drinking out of the straw. I really want whoever decides to drink this to, like, put their nose up to it because a lot of the aromatic from that candy is where you're getting, like, your flavor. As we all know, a lot of your flavor is coming through what you're smelling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's what that's there for. You're getting that big whiff every time you pick up that glass. That sugar's right at your nose.
Yeah.
The old retro
That's
nasal
cool.
pathway.
Oh,
So
that-
somebody
that-
give it-
Someone's got to dive in.
Somebody give it a big swig.
That's
Go
Dave.
ahead.
No, it's not my. I like the gin.
Get out of here.
Yeah, it's also a big kid drink.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's good.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad you like it.
And I see what you're saying about the end of that drink's gonna be a little different because that's melting in there.
It's gonna get sweeter.
Yeah.
You're gonna get a little more of those like herbal like flavor tones from that. Yeah, man, it's a nice cocktail. I do like it with a big cube. A lot of it's
Sure.
just the presentation. It just looks real sexy sitting on top of that cube.
Yeah. Do you like
Also,
the round the spear?
yeah, I like to do the big like actual like square ones
Oh,
just
okay.
because they sit better or it's like a flat
Yeah.
surface.
Okay.
But that's all presentation. Now you can make this cocktail to go, but you're losing kind of the big hitter there.
But
Yeah.
but I hate to shit on your point. I disagree. Send it with instructions. Send it with that whole lemon with the caramelized sugar on top, and like to me that's cool, and like that's a game changer. Then you got that guy's coming back next week. It's like
Well, not only
Yeah,
that, if you get a personality like his behind the bar,
Yeah.
and then he's doing a corresponding YouTube video, because that takes about 10 minutes to put together.
Yeah.
I mean, I could just do one right now based on what I filmed.
Yeah.
What an experience that is.
And,
Yeah.
and plus, they can pull out the torch that they tried to make creme brulee from 10 years ago. They can actually use it now.
correct. Yeah, for sure.
Where do you think that torch came from? My drawer with the creme brulee dishes.
the little white ones. Like
Oh yeah. Ramekins, yeah.
Yeah, you have everything you need. Do it on an iPhone. Post it on YouTube. Get a QR code like you do for your tableside menus. It is so easy. Go out there and do this. This can be done, and your staff is ready, willing, and able to do this. And if you can't do it, find someone on your staff that can. This is necessary.
Yeah,
this is
for
this
sure.
is this is how you beat up on Applebee's. This is how you fight back against the national chains that are trying to whiteboard this idea and do something like that. Just do it.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
takes them 8 months.
Yeah, and I don't want to be presumptuous, but Tony, you do consulting, so
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
we're gonna leave your contact stuff in the show notes. So if I don't know how often you're in town, but if somebody wants to reach out and get Tony on a consulting gig, I think that'd be
Please
good.
do.
Well, and also Tony will take a phone call. You can pay him for his time. Be respectful, and let him teach you 5 or 6 tricks over the phone on a call.
Or you could do
Or
a video
Zoom call,
conference.
or like
Yeah.
And Zoom has
it's
changed
easy.
the game,
Man.
man.
Yeah,
God, where was Zoom
Yeah.
in February?
Yeah,
right. What was that?
Why was it not popular before?
I know it's crazy.
Because one guy in the group couldn't get on,
Yeah, that's fair.
and then we're
Yeah.
not doing it. Like
And that one guy during the pandemic just got left behind.
Joe, you're on mute.
Yeah.
Joe, you're still
Yeah,
on mute.
exactly.
It's absolutely true.
No, that's cool. And I think it just as we were excited about it and we went silent for like 10 seconds because we couldn't help but watch. Like, I think your staff would feel the same way. And we go back to that infectiousness of the drink. Again, it's a showstopper. I think that's such a smart move. It's so easy and not expensive. Used half a lemon and a tablespoon of sugar and a couple dollops of bitters.
Let me
That was
ask
it.
let me ask something
Non-expensive drink.
potentially silly. Can that be prepped and then put in something else to go with the drink on the side, or is it not going to really
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's going to be solid, right? Yeah.
Isn't that what I said?
Well,
is it? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
100%.
Okay, I might have butchered it. No,
I'm sorry. I thought you were saying like how that somebody can do it at home.
No. I said send
My
it.
bad.
Like
My bad.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I missed
So
it.
the
I
thing-
wasn't paying
Definitely
attention.
ways we could candy that.
The thing about those is you have to have desi packs. Desi packs are like the little silicone things with the skull and crossbone on that absorb moisture. Because if you let any humidity get to that for an extended period of time, it'll melt. That's the problem.
Could you put it in rice? I mean, deconstruct it. Make it so it's an experience.
Yeah, I mean, or you could do a dozen or so before service, right? I mean, it's
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
if that's all you're doing for the cocktail and you're just making the actual like sugar to order, you're probably going to be okay. I don't see a lot of places selling 40 of these a night.
yeah.
You know what I mean? But if you're only doing 5 to 10 a night, absolutely do an order.
You make it a limited item for the first 25 people that come in the door.
I'm telling you, you should be selling more than 40 of these.
No, you should. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. I love
It's
that
awesome.
no,
Keep drinking it though. You're gonna see the flavor change.
look at all the content we created tonight just on showing him make one drink. You have a bartender, you have a bar, you are selling drinks. Stop telling me about Wine Down Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get some actual content.
Right, get
Tell
some
me-
relevance.
Tell me about this Bordeaux that's awesome. Tell me about this Chianti. Tell me about this Merlot that goes really well with this other dish that you're selling. Give them some content. Give them something that they want.
Engaging, Brian.
Yeah.
Engaging. Because
No,
we
yeah.
spend so much time broadcasting, but we're a little tone deaf in it.
Correct. Build the relationship. Provide the content. And
Are tacos sold on any other day than Tuesday?
I don't believe
No.
so. I'm positive that they are not.
Yeah, how many Taco Tuesdays can there
Oh,
be? Like, I
jeez.
mean, I get it. They work kind of, but you're just competing with literally.
Yeah, but now it's
everything.
generic content at this point in time.
Yes.
Unless you were one of the first to market with it, and now it's lost its kind of pizzazz,
Right.
And that's a lot of what we talk about with social media engagement is you, even if this is a gimmick and even only you sold 2 a night, it still has relevance and pushes you to the top of the chain because it's fascinating to watch and it's freaking cool.
No.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you, I stole this from Gary Vee. I know, and again, this is more patterning, but if you don't know what content to create, show them the journey. Show them you making the drink. Show them you making the food. Show them in the kitchen. Talk about what you're doing.
Document. Yeah.
Document. No, you're 100% right.
Yeah.
People love that. I mean, I've been behind a bar for so long, and people just get fascinated watching me make cocktails.
Right.
And most of the time, you're just picking up a bottle and pouring it into something, and like just the fascination that you can. Being a bartender is the weirdest thing in the world because everybody wants to be your best friend when they're sitting at your bar. They want to know everything you're doing. If you're good at your job, you are promoting constantly.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And now with social media, Instagram especially, like you can promote constantly. Like, you develop a little bit of, rapport with any of these people. They're watching your videos.
Yeah.
They
I'm
want to know
telling
what
you,
you're doing.
do this in an Instagram video,
Yeah.
and then you're going to sell these.
Yeah.
I want one of our friends, our customers, to hire you, teach them this trick. Let's do a test. I'll pay for
Love
it.
it.
I'll pay for it. Whatever you cost, we'll pop you in. Zoom, however you want to do it. We'll teach them the trick. Have them do the social media, and let's see how many they do.
I love it.
I guarantee.
Yeah.
I guarantee that you'll move product.
I
This
would
is
almost
cool.
Guarantee
Yeah,
it.
for sure.
Yeah,
Awesome.
It's such an easy trick. It's just, like you said, it looks cool.
Yeah.
You're playing with fire. Who doesn't like playing with fire?
No, right? I mean, if video's so
It's
well.
It's so true. Yeah. It's so true.
Well, and the only thing I was thinking when you were doing that is like, why don't I have one of those little torches? Like, it's so cool.
You can't have this one though because my wife will behead me.
Really? What does she use it for?
Creme brulees once every 10
She
years.
just likes having it.
Once every 10 years?
One
Yeah,
every
she
10
does-
years we have
she does
creme brulees.
inventory?
The one
Yeah.
time, actually, she's trying to make creme brulee tonight.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Oh no,
It's
this
here.
is like our 5th kid. This torch is very special to her. She's had it since before we were married.
Yeah.
She was nervous about me taking it today. I'm not
Are you
gonna lie.
serious?
They're like $12.
Do you have to sign it out?
Yeah, like a library. Yeah. Had to leave my ID.
Nice.
All right, what's up next, man?
All right,
Espresso.
let's give you our dessert cocktail. I love an espresso martini. I'm a coffee
Everybody
guy.
loves it.
Like everybody loves
Yeah.
an espresso martini.
Coffee's good.
But you can buy like the Van Gogh espresso vodka. You can do all this stuff. You can even infuse your own vodka with espresso. So what I decided to do is I wanted to do a little different riff on it, really make it desserty and decadent. So what I ended up doing is, opposed to just using like a shot of espresso in mine, I created an espresso syrup. Also very simple. Take an espresso, you're adding sugar, you're cooking it down. That's all it is. You're getting it to the sweetness and the thickness and consistency
So
that you want.
you're already making simple syrup at your bar anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't add just sugar to it, but it's basically the same process.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you know that process, you get a couple of shots of espresso, so to speak, and be on your way.
That's it. You figure out what your ratios are, and it's good to go. It's a 10-minute process.
Yeah.
But this is what really kind of changes it. What we're looking at here is this is a fat wash or butter wash vodka. Also very simple. It's just it takes a little bit of time to prep. So what you're going to do is you're going to literally take your butter.
We're good?
All right.
Your battery's low.
Yeah, it always is.
So you're just literally going to take your butter. You're going to melt it down at low heat. This is important. You want to make sure you don't burn it. You want to make sure that the butter melts, but it doesn't get too hot.
Uh-huh.
Once you get it melted, you're going to take your vodka. You're going to add the butter to your vodka. So you put it in, a glass vessel. Don't do it vice versa. If you do it vice versa, that butter's going to stick to the bottom because you're not really going to want to stir it a whole lot.
Okay.
So you're going to add the butter actually to the vodka. You're going to put it in a freezer overnight. Just let it sit there. So it's going to infuse. What we're going to see is a lot of the fats are going to rise to the top.
Mm-hmm.
So the next day you're going to come in, you're just going to skim all that off. And what you're getting is
Wow.
you're just getting basically a butter flavored vodka.
Wow.
But
It's stupid.
But the
What,
texture.
what does that taste like in a shot?
Do you want to try it?
Well, let's
No,
find
I
out.
don't. But I got.
You got to
It's
taste
actually
it now.
it's awesome.
Yeah.
And we were talking about.
Can you pour a
cook
little
with
out?
the-
He's got to taste it. He's being
wanna
being
try it?
modest.
I mean, just the tiniest little bit.
Yeah, man, it's great.
Now, certainly, you could do the drink without butter wash vodka, but
Yeah,
at the
of
same
course.
time, this is like the je ne sais quoi that takes you to that next level,
Yeah,
right?
Of course, of course.
That's so good. It is. I mean,
Butter makes everything
it's not.
better.
It's not like a
that's
drink.
amazing.
It's just like. That's so good. I mean, I'm sorry. Like that is crazy.
It's those little things, and like the biggest part of that is the consistency of the vodka. All of a sudden, it becomes a little thicker, becomes real creamy.
Creamier.
Cre-
So
I mean-
you don't have to use Bailey's to get that cream flavor anymore, get that texture. You're just using 3 ingredients.
Yeah.
So we're using the vodka, we're using the espresso syrup. I'm adding a little bit of coconut cream. This is just a Coco Lopez. This is already sweetened. You can make your own, get unsweetened, depends on what you want to do. We're just going to go an ounce of this guy. Always kind of want to use your thicker stuff first just because it coats your jigger.
See, what I've noticed, Tone, is funny, is you've probably made about 10,000 plus a million cocktails over the years, right?
Yeah.
And you're still using a jigger to measure your proportions. So that tells you how important balance
It is.
and proportion is to your drinks.
Yeah, of course. If you want, free pouring has its place. Obviously, if you're
For a
at
rum and
tournament
Coke,
bar,
yeah.
exactly. But if you're making a cocktail, you need to measure. You have to know what you're putting in there because you want consistency. Like you
Yeah.
said, if you're sending stuff out, you don't want to get a great cocktail one time and then come back order the same thing that tastes like
yeah.
garbage.
Right. And that was on TikTok.
It was.
So maybe that video we talked about earlier should actually be TikTok, not Instagram, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
TikTok's
Definitely.
becoming. Are you hip to TikTok at all?
I haven't really used it, because I am old in that regard.
Yeah,
but
no, I understand.
I know that it's
Just
everywhere.
download and just start consuming it. I mean, you're gonna see some things you're gonna be like question humanity, but then you're gonna see some things that are really interesting.
Question humanity. But you're a content creator. The platform is irrelevant. I mean, at the
Yeah.
end of the day, make the content and then push it out on the whatever platform you believe is appropriate,
Or all of them.
or all of them. Correct? Yeah. And then there's great putting the levels up. I like it. We've got the levels.
sorry, buddy.
Adobe has great editing software that you can format the video to the appropriate size and really conducive to the platform.
Sure.
So with this guy, I'm going to double strain because you really are going to need to shake this guy because you have that, coconut cream in there. You want to break it up, but you don't want to ice down your cocktail. So this is one I'm going to double strain just to make sure there's no ice chips in there.
Gotcha.
I know some people really enjoy those. They like to go ice skating on their cocktails, but I don't like to water them down too much.
No, there's a level of refinement that comes without the ice chips, right?
That's right, man. All right, so, and then typically I would just garnish this very simply. You could put, so here we go. Very, very basic. I'll set on the lip there and lost it. I would have stunk.
Yeah, again, the worst glass ever, right? Like why is the martini glass so bad?
I don't get it. I don't understand why. If I'm going to serve something up, I typically use a coupe glass. I just think they look nicer.
You know what? I saw that in Anthony's message, and I didn't know what it was, so I just bought a martini glass.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
they're
it's
like
worse.
old.
I guess I could have
champagne
Googled,
glasses.
I suppose. Yeah.
It's like the rounded old timey
Wow.
Titanic.
Thank you.
I mean, that's
That's dangerous, is what that is.
that is
Yeah.
so good.
It reminds me of like junior year of high school with the Kahlua mudslides.
Wow.
I mean, right? That is
Making a grown-up mudslide. Is all
Yeah,
it
no, that's
is.
what it is. Yeah,
no, that is.
and it's
cool.
got caffeine in it.
Yeah.
But it also
That'll keep
has-
you dancing all night.
It has buttered vodka in it.
Yeah,
like you can't
yeah.
go wrong with that.
No, that's awesome.
That's
I'd like to taste the buttered vodka. Just
You wanna try it?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Dave's like,
It's
I can't
great
take it
'cause,
anymore.
I started learning some of this stuff from some of my friends are doing a lot of stuff with like bacon and like bourbon, infusing it and just getting the fat in there. It's like, it's crazy.
well, I mean, look at the back of the house. Fat is your friend. I mean,
Yeah.
that pork belly and all those things back there. There's a reason we use fat. Like
Yeah,
it's
flavor
delicious.
and texture. Yeah,
Yep.
and cooking medium.
What do you think? It's good, right?
it's so like.
And that's not expensive vodka. I won't even tell you
Yeah.
what kind it is, but it's
Okay.
not expensive vodka. It's not super cheap.
Does it have
vodka.
does it have ski at the end of it?
Or does it,
It's Colonial Club.
how big was the plastic bottle it came in?
It was in glass. You're lucky, it was in glass. But yeah, I mean, that was run of the mill. That was, a call level
Okay.
vodka. So you're not spending a lot of money and you get that great product.
So how much butter do you put in there?
So typically for like a liter of vodka, I would use about 12 ounces of butter.
That's it.
That's it. So think about
Okay.
your costs on that.
Yeah, it's
That's
a few
hardly
bucks.
anything.
Yeah.
Nothing.
No, you're investing in this, but it's minor compared to the ROI because this is a total game changer. No one down the street is doing this. You need to be doing this. You need to up your craft cocktail game because that's what customers want. And the best part is it provides an experience. I mean, you guys disagree?
No question.
No disagreement here.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I think it's so cool that you were able to join us today.
Oh, thank
I
you.
think this is such a value add to our listeners because the pandemic is a gut punch, but you gotta punch back. And what you're going to see in the marketplace 12 months from now is going to be different. You're a survivor. You're the ultimate entrepreneur as the local independent restaurateur, and there's going to be fewer chains out there. There's going to be fewer other operators. You're going to be left with more customers, more people who love and care about you and are there to support you, and more importantly, you've trained them up. So to-go is going to be even bigger in the future post-pandemic. To-go alcohol is going to be even bigger. Cocktails and the types of things that people didn't even know they could order before, or they're going to be ordering those.
Yeah, no question. And yeah, Tony, thank you so much, man. We really appreciate the time on this.
My
This was amazing. And
Yeah,
I agree
this
with
is
Brian. Like, you've got to take advantage of some of this stuff and other things to be creative, be on the cutting edge, and give your customers an experience that they're not going to want to forget.
And then document it.
Yeah.
Get it out on social. Let people know you're doing it. It is so cool. It is. I'm just so happy you were able to join us, Tony, and thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me.
Not to cut off Anthony, but where can people find your information and get a hold of you? I mean, they'll be able to find it in our show notes on restauranttopia.com. But
Feel free to email me, A, B as in boy, Thomas, Thomas, 16 at Gmail.
all right.
Give me a shout out. I love collaborating with people. It's a lot of fun. And one thing I would say is we were joking earlier about the front of house, back of house kind of, but in this day and age, it's becoming more prevalent that these two are like working together.
Oh yeah, I
Collaborate
jest.
with your
I
kitchen, man.
I teach against that all the time. Just so you know.
Well, I know
yeah,
we're
yeah.
joking about
Yeah, yeah.
it, but like it is a thing in a lot of places. Work with your kitchen.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
guys are basically trying to do the same thing. Come
100%.
up with cocktails that go with the dishes you're making.
Yeah.
What a concept.
Yeah, like offer,
Right.
especially with to-goes, offer, if you're getting whatever this dish is, you should get this cocktail with it.
Right.
So like a bridge match.
Yeah. And it goes back to training. Think about the chain of custody, so to speak, of the customer. Post pandemic, they're going to get there. Your restaurant's going to be packed. They're going to go sit at the bar, have a drink, talk to the bartender, and that mixologist is going to talk to them about what's good here, what you got to try this appetizer. It's another touch point with that customer in your operation. This profession is too hard to be working against each other. We all have to stick together, front of house, back of house, and really move forward because the national chains are there to punch you in the throat. You got to push back and make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. No, appreciate it.
Can't disagree with you, Brian. Tony, thanks for being here, man. I'd
Hey,
say I was
thanks, Tony.
impressed.
Very
My
cool.
pleasure, guys.
I would say I was impressed, but I stopped being impressed like 10, 15 years ago. This is just par for the course now.
Well, I appreciate that. That means a lot coming from you, TJ.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. Sure it does.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Spending your precious time to listen to this podcast is immeasurable. Please make sure to tell a friend about this podcast And also, if you have any feedback for us, visit us on restauranttopia.com and drop us a line. You can also subscribe on your favorite place to listen to podcasts. Thank you and have a great day.
They've been around for, a couple hundred years, and they just developed their third,
Is it what was it? COVID bitters? What?
No,
Cocoa.
cocoa.
Oh, there we go. I was like, that's gonna be a rough sell.
Just a drop.
Build the antibodies. He made these drinks the other night, and we did this party, and he made these painkillers, and it was like maybe it was fruity and sweet and all those things I hate in a drink, but it was so amazing I couldn't get away from it. I took one drink and put it down like F no, like I'm not touching this. Like get away from me.
Tiki culture has really like taken like a big like room in the past couple years. And the thing about tiki cocktails is like they taste super fruity and like foo-foo.
Yeah.
And every single one of them has like 2.5, 3 ounces of booze in it. So
Whenever you go somewhere and they're like, this list of cocktails you can only have 2 of.
yes,
This list of cocktails you can only have 1.
Yeah. That's the level
true.
1, level 2, level 3
Yeah,
you're
right.
talking about?
Yeah.
you go in and you get a regular level 2 and that's 2 ounces. But they bump it up to level 4 and it's like you're only allowed to have one of these.
Yeah.
Like, oh, why? Then you drink it and it tastes fruity and
Tastes like-
tropical.
oh my
and
God.
on the beach, and then
you're
you
Frank
stand up to go to the restroom and your eyes cross and
Yeah.
your legs buckle.
Yeah.
Frank the Tank running through.
So that's like 3 dots and a dash in Chicago, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, and then Porco, right?
Yeah.
Cleveland.
Hey, honey, you think KFC's still open?
that's it.
Yeah.
He gets in the car. Like,
Porco does a nice job, man. They really are. Cleveland is very blessed to have. There's some really nice cocktail bars in Cleveland, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Really stepping their game